Hey everybody, so we have a new rumor to talk about today, a rumor that could possibly lead to a Nintendo Direct happening in the near future. Okay, so this is coming from a translation of a Japanese Nintendo magazine. The magazine is called Nintendo Dream. A Twitter user by the name of DDDio wrote a translation, and it says this. New issue will release on Monday, February 21st. In addition to detailed news about Kirby and the Forgotten Land, we've also included a new game that we didn't expect. I have a feeling that a new title will be announced. They also went on to say, even if new game is not Kirby related, it means that likely we are getting Nintendo Direct in the first half of the month because of new game reveal. Alright, so this magazine is saying there will be an unexpected game in their next issue, alongside their plans to discuss Kirby and the Forgotten Land. So this could be a new Kirby title. It is Kirby's 30th anniversary this year, so a surprise Kirby game could make sense, but really it could be any game. And of course, the more interesting thing is the speculation here, that this could mean a full-blown Nintendo Direct. Basically, if a new game is going to be announced before the next issue of Nintendo Dream magazine, when that releases, it would have to be in time for them to cover this mystery game in the next issue. So maybe the unknown title could get announced during a Nintendo Direct. Since the next issue of Nintendo Dream magazine is due out February 21st, that could mean that if the new game is announced in a Direct, that a Nintendo Direct would be happening at some point between now and February 21st. And I've seen lots of people speculating this unknown game being covered in this magazine could mean our chances of a Nintendo Direct happening in the near future are pretty good. Getting Nintendo Directs in February, of course, has happened before, and since it's been a while since we got a major, flood of Nintendo news, and Nintendo tends to like to give us news around this time of year, during the beginning of the year, to kind of set up what their first quarter of the year and spring game lineup will actually look like, a Nintendo Direct is certainly very possible in the next few weeks here. Of course, Nintendo could announce this mystery game outside of a Direct, simply doing a Twitter post for it or something. For information about Kirby and the Forgotten Land, Nintendo has mostly opted to do just that, a bunch of Twitter posts about the game. But there are plenty of other games we know about that are due out in 2022, which could certainly be highlighted in a Nintendo Direct in the coming weeks. Kirby and the Forgotten Land, of course, seems to be the big spring Nintendo title being pushed right now, and it's due out in March. But we also have Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp, which is supposedly releasing April 8th after being delayed from last year. Pokemon Legends Arceus releases at the end of this week on January 28th. And while Pokemon stuff is usually separate from Nintendo Directs, generally they get highlighted during their own Pokemon Presents, a quick reminder that the Legends Arceus game is out during a Nintendo Direct could totally happen. Nintendo has done stuff like that before. And we have other games like Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope, Splatoon 3, and Bayonetta 3, which are all supposedly 2022 games. And we could be shown more about those titles in a Nintendo Direct. Also, most exciting for me would be the possibility of seeing more of Breath of the Wild 2. I thought maybe back in December during the Game Awards, we might have gotten a title reveal for Breath of the Wild 2, but Nintendo had very little presence during the Game Awards last year. I suspect Breath of the Wild 2 will be Nintendo's focus for their E3 Direct this year, but still seeing a little more of that game in the meantime would be nice, in a spring Direct. Again, something like a title reveal would be very welcome, as the game was announced 4 years ago, and we've seen almost nothing of it, and again, don't even have a proper name for the game yet. Alright, so what do you think about this rumor? Could Nintendo Dream Magazine have just inadvertently leaked a Nintendo Direct, or the time frame for a possible Nintendo Direct? Or do you think whatever this mysterious title is they plan on covering in their next magazine issue will just be something announced on Nintendo's Twitter or something instead? Tough call, but since I feel we're kind of due for a Direct anyway, the timing seems right. I can't help but get kind of hopeful about this possibility myself. Okay, so in other gaming news, obviously the big thing that happened last week was Microsoft Xbox announcing their acquisition of Activision Blizzard. Microsoft had, of course, bought up ZeniMax Media a year ago, so they own Bethesda and id and stuff now, which was already pretty shocking and a huge deal. But this acquisition of Activision Blizzard dwarfs even that. Supposedly, this was like a $69 billion deal, which is just an insane amount of money. And now Xbox owns a ton of game studios and game franchises, including Call of Duty, Candy Crush, Diablo, Overwatch, Warcraft, and StarCraft, Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, the Tony Hawk Pro Skater series, the list goes on and on. All this stuff under the Microsoft Xbox umbrella. It's definitely going to make the Xbox Game Pass even more enticing than it already is. Obviously, with all of the harassment lawsuits and legal controversy going on with Activision Blizzard in recent years, the company has been in a tough spot with their reputation, basically in the garbage. And gamers have been in a tough spot as well, feeling guilty and unable to freely enjoy the games from that company, without seemingly supporting the company and the management, which allowed for such a toxic work environment in the first place. Phil Spencer of Microsoft even condemned Activision Blizzard over all of this. So to see Microsoft simply buy out the company is a bit of a shocking move. Hopefully, with Microsoft in control, they can clean house here and the harassment issues of the past with this company can be left behind us. Supposedly, Bobby Kotick will step down once the acquisition is complete, though the deal won't be finished for quite a while now. I, of course, always have to look at things from the Super Smash Bros. Lens, and I have to say, looking at this from that perspective, I think this is really great news. While I don't think anything Smash Bros. Is happening anytime soon, the series will, of course, have a future eventually. And I've always tried to point out to people that anything can change in the gaming landscape between games. So never be sure which characters will be possible or seemingly impossible in the future for Super Smash Bros. And I have been saying for a while that I thought Master Chief as a first-person shooter rep and Crash Bandicoot to honor the late 90s Mario-Sonic Crash rivalry were pretty much the missing pieces to make Super Smash Bros. Feel objectively complete, in my opinion anyway. I have also said Doomguy or Master Chief could work as the potential first-person shooter rep, but we did get Doomguy as a Mii costume. Shockingly, now all of those characters are Microsoft owned. Halo, of course, is an original Xbox IP, Doomguy through the Bethesda purchase, and now Crash Bandicoot from this Activision Blizzard deal. Really ironic, as Crash was once a PlayStation mascot rival of Mario and Sonic, basically the face of PlayStation. This Crash on Xbox ad feels prophetic now. Now, of course, Smash already has two Microsoft-owned characters, Banjo and Steve, ironically from other past acquisitions, buying the companies Rare and Mojang. So the door is certainly open for Microsoft stuff in Smash already. We have two characters. This isn't unprecedented at all these days. And I suspect one of the two first-person shooter stars, either Master Chief or Doomguy, and Crash Bandicoot now have very high chances in the next Smash game to make it in. Also, I will say, whenever Crash for Smash came up during the end days of Smash Ultimate speculation, a lot of people were worried about his association with Activision Blizzard and all the legal harassment controversy surrounding the company. It was tough, as a Crash fan myself, to support and actually want to see him in Super Smash Bros. Obviously, I'm a fan of his games from a long time ago, so the character himself getting in Smash has been something I've wanted well before any controversy happened. However, wanting to see him in Smash, all the while knowing the toxicity involved with the company behind him, was very tough to come to terms with. So while this acquisition by Microsoft, of course, doesn't change the past at all, hopefully it will mean the company being cleaned up a bit and a bright future for the company, and thus letting us enjoy these games and characters guilt-free in the future. I don't think there could have been a better answer to this reputation problem for Activision Blizzard than a complete buyout deal. So while in general I'm somewhat against a monopoly forming from any company, I'd much rather see this outcome for Activision Blizzard than for it to stagnate in the irredeemable state it's been in. And beyond all that stuff, it is pretty cool to see so many classic video game icons together under one roof now. Back in the day, I don't think I would have ever thought I'd see Nintendo and PlayStation characters owned by Xbox. It's pretty surreal for anyone my age who grew up associating these characters with completely different game companies, and owning these studios means it's possible these IPs could get worked on from different studios. For instance, Crash and Spyro got remastered games. The same could happen now for Banjo-Kazooie. Toys for Bob could give them the same treatment. It would be really awesome to see either a remaster of Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie or an actual Banjo 3E happen. That would just be amazing. And under Microsoft, certain practices could be changed in favor of better quality games. For instance, Call of Duty could cease being a yearly annual release. Slowing down the schedule for Call of Duty releases could make for better titles and a stronger brand overall, with the release of the game as a bigger deal than an expected yearly update game, basically. Microsoft being at the helm of so many companies could actually end up being pretty great for a lot of them. Now, while I think Nintendo always does its own thing, and Microsoft and Nintendo have been very close lately, again, we have Microsoft characters in Super Smash Bros., so I don't think this will affect Nintendo much. They're very much so their own thing. This Activision Blizzard deal does raise some concerns for PlayStation fans, though. However, Phil Spencer has said this. Had good calls this week with leaders at Sony. I confirmed our intent to honor all existing agreements upon acquisition of Activision Blizzard and our desire to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation. Sony is an important part of our industry and we value our relationship. So that's good. However, it is very specifically worded with the all existing agreements comment. So while I doubt Xbox would make any of these newly acquired game franchises exclusive to Xbox in the near future, it's totally possible they are playing the long game here. Maybe in a console generation or two, and potentially after even buying maybe another large company, say something like EA or Take-Two, if Microsoft wanted to suddenly announce those games were going to be exclusive to Xbox, to whatever their new Xbox system is in 5 or 10 years or something, they certainly could pull that trigger, and that could be a death blow for PlayStation. If suddenly the next PlayStation isn't getting a bunch of these games, well, I myself would certainly be tempted to go Xbox instead of PlayStation that generation for sure. Again, I don't expect that anytime soon, but I've also seen Atari and Sega get kicked out of the console market in my day, and nothing says the same couldn't happen for PlayStation at some point. I'm a fan of PlayStation, but I was also a fan of the Sega Dreamcast, and these things can happen. While, of course, the sales for something like Call of Duty on a PlayStation console would still make a lot of money for Xbox, and of course allowing the game still on that system is a good business move in that sense, for now anyway, if at some future point announcing exclusivity could completely ruin PlayStation and just run them out of the market, yeah, it's possible Xbox could be setting up to do that. Again, I don't imagine that would happen for a while, but think about if they bought one more big company, something like EA, and then announced all the games they have, all these companies they own are going to be exclusive to Xbox for the next Xbox console. Yeah, it could happen. Now, I don't really like monopolies, so I'd prefer this not to happen, but I'm just saying it could. Well, with that in mind, earlier last week, Gary Whitta wrote this on Twitter. They said, if you thought Xbox/Activision was the biggest gaming news story of the day/week, just you wait. So many, including myself, pondered what could be bigger than this Activision Blizzard deal. I thought maybe Sony had something big up their sleeve. Maybe that rumored PlayStation Spartacus, a Xbox Game Pass rival, could get officially revealed. Or maybe backwards compatibility for the PlayStation 5 could get announced. There was this tweet from PlayStation Japan that had 1, 2, 3 in it, which had people speculating backwards compatibility for PS1, 2, and 3 games. But no, it seems like it was just a Japanese pop singer ad for PlayStation. So I don't know what Gary Whitta was referring to with that tweet, because I don't think anything bigger than the Xbox Activision Blizzard deal happened last week. The only things that could even come close last week were just kind of unintentional things like rumors and leaks. For instance, Jeff Grubb said in a TikTok video that he thinks E3 might be completely canceled this year. Though that didn't officially get announced, so we can't really count it as something big being announced in gaming last week. E3 is supposedly going to be entirely digital this year. That has been confirmed, which is a bummer, but it's just the world we live in now. This is 2022, and sadly, we're still here. Jeff Grubb seems to think the whole thing will get canceled, but that hasn't happened yet. Either way, I'm sure Nintendo would still do a Direct around the same time frame. And we have the Summer Game Fest, so if E3 was canceled, I think we'd still get our big summer gaming news one way or the other. The other really big news in the world of gaming last week, but again, this one wasn't intentional, it was a leak, was that Pokemon Legends Arceus had some major leaks. People have the game early, and everything is out there. I could have easily made a whole video on all the leaks, but the Pokemon Company kind of ruthlessly takes down Pokemon leak videos, so not much point in doing that when the info is out there on the web elsewhere, where it won't be removed, whereas if I made a video, it would just get taken down. I didn't want to spoil the game too much for myself anyway, but I have seen all the new Hisuian Pokemon forms. Some of them are pretty cool, some of them are lame, it's Pokemon, that's how it goes. I also took a look at the entire Pokédex for the game, and also I've seen a few short gameplay videos of people who have the game early. And I have to say, I'm very excited for this one. Looks to be a step in the right direction for Pokemon, and people who have played the game already are pretty much saying the same. It seems to be a step in the right direction. However, it also might be a step the Pokemon franchise should have taken like 10 or 15 years ago, so we might be at a point where the series really needs to take a giant leap forward instead of just a step. But even still, the Pokemon game I wanted to play 10 years ago is a game I am still excited to finally play today. Maybe when I pick it up, I'll stream it all day on Friday. I still want to stream Metroid Dread, so maybe I'll stream this at some point during the week to kill the time to get to Pokemon Legends Arceus, and then stream that on Friday. Seems like that might be a good way to jump into streaming like I've been meaning to. Alright, and a few final things of note, Banjo-Kazooie has been added to the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack. It's awesome to see Banjo-Kazooie back on a Nintendo console finally. Again, it's just kind of surreal in all honesty seeing Banjo and Nintendo. I thought they were gone forever. With Paper Mario last month, Banjo-Kazooie this month, and they've now announced Majora's Mask for February, those are some strong titles being added seemingly monthly to the service, so that's great to see as I really want this service to grow and seem worth the price. Also, they have apparently improved some of the emulation issues with the NSO N64 games. Specifically, Ocarina of Time emulation apparently has been fixed up a bit, so that's good to hear as well, since a lot of people were complaining about it. Also, Special Nick is saying some other Xbox franchise will be getting a Master Chief Collection style treatment. People are guessing it's either Gears of War or possibly Fable, could be the mysterious franchise in question. So yeah, Xbox really going strong lately. I don't think there was any other really important gaming news that happened last week. Yeah, alright, I'm not even going to touch that one. I think we're done for today. Alright, so what do you guys think about this Japanese Nintendo Dream magazine saying that a yet-to-be-announced game will be covered in their next issue releasing February 21st? Do you think that could mean a Nintendo Direct at some point between now and February 21st? Or do you think this mystery game will be announced on Twitter or something and a Nintendo Direct is just too much to expect? And what are your thoughts on the whole Xbox, Microsoft acquiring Activision Blizzard deal? Do you think that's good news or do you think it's bad news? Like a monopoly and bad news for PlayStation? Or do you think it's good news that is going to potentially clean up Activision Blizzard and we have all these cool companies in one spot? And with Microsoft characters already in Smash, do you think this is good news for something like Crash Bandicoot's chances for Smash in the far future? If you guys have any thoughts about any of the stuff I talked about in this video, feel free to leave them below.
Remember to like the video, leave a comment in the section below, and subscribe to PapaGeNOS!
Twitter, Patreon, Discord.